What's up, everybody? Benji Bruce here, and today I've got something special. We're going to talk about self-belief, and maybe I might sing along to this song because I want to show you guys some lyrics, so maybe I'll bless you with my voice for a little bit, but I want to show you guys, I want to talk about self-belief. Basically, with it, you can accomplish anything. Without it, you can't accomplish, you can accomplish nothing pretty much, and so self-belief is hands down one of the factors that's going to determine whether or not you succeed. And so once again, I want to just talk about self-belief. And like I said, in a second, I want to show you these lyrics to this song from this movie. And like I said, I may sing along with it. You never know. I may bless you guys with my voice and, maybe make Jamie Foxx and Michael Bublé and all these guys feel a little bit jealous about Benji Bruce's voice. So I just want to talk about self-belief in general. And so first, I want to start out with this quote from Marianne Williamson. And so I've mentioned this quote several times because it's one of my favorite quotes in general. And I'm not going to say the whole quote. I'm just going to say a part of it. So the part of the quote is basically, our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve this world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. And so it's really the last two sentences that's probably the most important, where it says, your playing small does not serve this world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. And so those two sentences are probably the most important sentences in terms of self-belief. And so a lot of people, when they're actually trying to do something, they're trying to accomplish something, others, or just information in general, it's like it's pulling you down. And a lot of times we tend to pull our own selves down. And what you have to do is you have to kind of reverse it. You have to have so much self-belief. It's almost like you're a god walking among men. That's damn near the level you need to be in order to accomplish what you want. The more you want to accomplish, the more self-belief you need to have. If you just want to live an ordinary life, you can just have normal self-belief. But if you want to have an insane level of self-belief, you need to literally basically be a god walking among men. That's literally how you need to believe. And then at the same time, you need to not say that, right? And so I'm going to talk about that in just a second. You just need to understand that one person can alter the course of humanity. Literally a single person. Think about what Einstein did. Einstein literally altered the course of humanity. And that's how you truly need to believe and operate in terms of if Einstein, why not you? Right? If Einstein did it, why not you? You may think Einstein's on some amazing level, intellect and all that. Sure, he was smart, but you need to truly believe that you're on the same level as someone like Einstein. And so you just need to keep asking yourself, why not you? If you look at all these super successful people, instead of saying like, dang, I really wish I could be like them, you truly need to believe that you can be like them, if not better than them. Your self-belief needs to be so powerful that it doesn't even make sense to you. Like, it literally doesn't make sense. You're like, I have no idea why I think I'm like this amazing. Like, you just have no idea why your self-belief is so insane, right? That's the level you need to operate at. You need to believe that it can be done. You need to believe that you're the person to do it. So it's the two things. Not only can it be done, but you are the one who's destined to do this thing. There's this book called The Hypomanic Edge, and I really wish it was on audiobook, but I think it's just on Kindle and just a written book, but if you go buy the damn thing, right? So the book, it's basically talking about how super successful people, it's like they operate from a standpoint of feeling like they're destined to accomplish this thing. Almost like God told them, hey, you have to do this thing, to a point of delusion. And the reason why someone like Andrew Carnegie and all these super successful people can do what they do is because they believe so strongly in themselves that they are a god walking among men. And so what happens though when you believe this is you just don't say it. Because think about it if you said that. Hey, I'm a god, right? Think about if you said that. Everyone would be like, this motherfucker's crazy. And so you're not going to say anything like that, but you believe in it so strongly that it's like you're pushing reality out of the way to create the reality you want. And so that's the state of mind that you're always in with this insane level of self-belief. And let's see, I want to talk about this song in just a second. The song, for those of you guys who haven't seen the movie The Greatest Showman, it's a really great movie, so you want to watch it. But it comes from there. You want to think in terms of your mindset is literally like, hey, if not, basically, if I'm not the one to do it, nobody else will. That's how you need to think. It's like if you're a scientist and you think, all right, if I'm not the one who's going to cure cancer, who else will? Bill Gates thought the same thing in terms of what is he curing? He's like curing damn near everything right now. But Bill Gates, in terms of what is he curing? Malaria, right? So he was like, okay, malaria's been around forever. If I'm not the one to do it, who else is going to do it? And so a lot of people, they look towards others. They look to see, okay, who else is going to do this thing? Who's going to cure cancer? Who's going to cure HIV? Who's going to build this type of business? Who's going to do this? Who's going to change the world, right? People are looking towards other people, right? That's what everyone's doing. You need to say, all right, who's going to do it? I guess I am. That's the level of self-belief you need to have. It should be so strong in yourself that it does not make sense to you, and it definitely doesn't make sense to other people. Literally, it just doesn't make sense in terms of why you have so much belief in yourself. When I was just doing entertainment, when I was just like literally just doing mentalism shows and everything, my self-belief was, I'm going to come in and I'm going to crush this thing like so much. Like everyone here is standing ovation, no doubt, 100% standing ovation. I mean, I'm going to be the best entertainer you guys will ever see in your entire life, right? The purpose of those beliefs, it's not about whether or not it's true. In a sense, it doesn't matter if it's true. It's just a matter of what it does to you. That's the purpose of self-belief. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to walk a thin line between, is it true versus what does this belief do? And so you want to lean more towards what this belief does rather than whether or not it's true. Because think about how science works, or just think about science, physics in general. Everything we know, 100%, all science, everything in the universe that we know only adds up to 4% of the universe. Everything. This is proven, right? Everything we know. So over 95% of information, over 95% of everything is stuff we don't know, right? So it's a lot of what you know is stuff that you don't actually know. And so because of this, you have to walk the fine line of what I believe to be true probably isn't. So I'm going to use my thoughts. I'm going to use these thoughts in a way that's going to produce the reality I want to produce. Because you don't know if you believe XYZ is true or not. Because like I said, everything we know in the universe, it only adds up to 4%. And so you don't know if it's true, which means that you're simply thinking, what does this thought do to me? And that's what self-belief does to you. Self-belief allows you to build such a big business that it doesn't make sense to other people. This is where you're naturally you're hustling all day, every day. You just believe in yourself so strongly. And like I said, it just doesn't make sense to people. So basically you can just you need to understand that you can do more than you think you can. This is why people keep saying like you're not living up to your full potential and everything. You need to not only believe this when you hear it, it needs to become you. Like it needs to become you in terms of you can do way more than what you're doing right now. Whatever you're doing right now, it's only one little percentage of what you can do. This should not be a motivational saying to you, like in terms of, oh, I have more potential. It shouldn't just be a little motivational saying. It should be a serious belief in yourself, like, damn, I wish there were 48 hours in a single day because there's 24 hours. It's just not enough. I got to do way more than what I'm currently doing. And then so think about how society is. Society is all about fitting in. You need to have a belief to where you need to stand out. And it's hard to stand out. This is easier said than done. Standing out is a whole lot easier said than done because people will talk trash about you. They'll call you crazy, weird, stupid, arrogant, whatever they want to say, right? They will call you names. They'll talk behind your back. It is really, really easy to fit in, and it is hard to stand out. So it's one of those things easier said than done, but you have to believe in yourself to a point where you just don't care. You do not care about other people's opinions compared to your own. And so this is like what I said in the email earlier where I mentioned I technically got cyberbullied by all these entertainers in this forum, right? I don't know if you consider it cyberbullying if if I didn't feel like I was getting bullied. But basically all these entertainers ganged up on me inside of this little magic forum for all these magicians, right? They were all saying like, oh, he's not all that great, and no, he's not, his business advice is just like rehashed stuff and all. Everyone's ganging up on me in this magic forum, right? I don't really feel cyberbullied in any way. But I can see how it would be considered cyberbullying. The reason I didn't feel cyberbullied in any way is simply because I put my opinions and my belief over every single person that was saying anything inside of that forum. I didn't care what they said, nothing. It did not matter to me. Their opinions meant zero to me. Absolutely nothing. And so if you look at where they are versus where I am now, it's not even competition. Like literally these guys are in the same spot as where they were. Look at where I am. It's not even close, right? And so the self-belief, it allows you to ignore opinions when you need to ignore them. And I like more of, it's not just ignoring opinions, it's more ignoring judgments, really. But you hold your opinions higher than anybody else's. It just doesn't matter who it is. It literally doesn't matter. Now, I'm not saying that you're ignoring everybody. Like you just think that you're the best at everything. That's just dumb. You're not the best at everything. You can't be the best at everything. Instead, what I'm saying is your opinions are 100% above everybody else's, which means you know what you're good at and what you suck at. And so you say, okay, I know I'm not good at chess. I know I'm not the best at it. I know Magnus Carlsen is way better than me. He's the #1 chess player in the world. So I know this guy's way better than me. So if I'm going to learn chess, I'm going to learn it from him. But that it starts with your self-belief. You took your opinion over the opinion of others in terms of, I understand I'm not the best at chess, so I'm going to learn from him. That is your opinion. You're not the best at chess, or you're not the best at this thing, so you're going to learn from this person. You always put your opinions, your beliefs over other people's beliefs 100%. Every single time. And when you know that you're wrong, once again, that is your belief. You know you're wrong, which is why you listen to somebody else. But it starts with your belief. And so this is where the whole affirmation stuff kind of comes into play. And so I've always had like a love-hate relationship with affirmations. When people think in terms of affirmations, it's like the movie Cool Runnings, right? Where the guy's in the mirror, and I can't remember exactly what he says, but he's like in the mirror, like yelling at himself and stuff and all that. And so affirmations, you're talking to yourself, but some part of you doesn't really believe that affirmation. And so this is why I have like this love-hate relationship with affirmations, because it's not just one little sentence that you say to yourself over and over. It's a constant self-talk that you have with your brain. You are literally programming, rewiring your brain to believe in thoughts that do not make sense. Like you're damn near delusional. It's not a coincidence that almost every successful person is considered crazy. It's not a coincidence. The reason they're at that level, the reason they're considered crazy is because they have such a high level of self-belief that other people consider them crazy. But that high level of self-belief is why they've gotten to a high level in society. That is literally the reason. And so a belief is something that you know to be true. And once again, remember what I said in terms of the whole 4% of the universe, right? So even though you know this to be true, it probably isn't. Because once again, everything we know in the universe is only 4%. It only adds up to 4%. Every possible thing we know, all the science we know, all the medicine, all the stuff that we know, it adds up to 4%. And so on the one hand, you believe what you believe to be true. It is a delusional belief, because you don't know 100% that it's true. But that delusional belief allows you to take these specific actions to produce all the results in your business and in your life. You just got to think that extraordinary people don't accomplish extraordinary things by thinking of themselves as ordinary people. If you believe that you are like everyone else, you will do and think what everyone else does and how they think. You cannot believe that you are like everybody else. You truly have to believe you are better. Well, more different, I would say. Because that belief, it's just what that belief does to you. That's what the belief does to you. What about being humble, right? Humble, you got to be humble. You got to be humble. Let me tell you, here's the definition of humble. Look up the definition of humble yourself, but here's the definition of humble. Humble literally says having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. Why would you think low of yourself? Does not make sense in any way. I'll read the definition again. Definition of being humble: having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. Now, the only aspect of being humble that makes sense is showing a low level of importance, right? Showing, but not believing. Every single person that you think is humble believes they are great. They just do not show it. That's the difference. Every single person that you say, like, wow, that guy, he's top notch. My goodness, he's so humble, though. I guarantee that person knows what they're great at. They believe they're great at this thing. They know what they can do. They just don't show it. That's the only difference. That's what being humble is. When a lot of people think in terms of being humble, they think you see someone with low self-esteem. That's not what humble is. Humble is just, you know you're great. You just don't show how great you are. And so there's no reason for, showing whether or not you want to be great. That's technically up to you. But you just got to look at extremely successful people and just understand that most of what you see isn't what's actually there. It's like the tip of the iceberg, right? So a little bit of what you see, that's just the tip. And then there's all this stuff below it in terms of how great they feel and how great they think they are. I guarantee you, this is why I keep saying this to people. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, all these super successful people, they think they're damn near God because they literally create the reality they want to create. They cannot say that to people. They believe it because of what it allows them to do, but they cannot say that to people because they'll probably get thrown into the cuckoo house, right? So they can't say it to people. It's going to turn people off. And so because of that, they retreat. It's why billionaires are so quiet. They retreat. You don't really hear billionaires talk. They're too quiet. And so you just got to think in terms of it reminds me of the story with Michael Jordan where Reggie Miller was talking about Michael Jordan, right? So for those of you guys who don't know Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player of all time. Reggie Miller was also a really great player, great three-point shooter. And so Reggie Miller was talking about Michael Jordan. Now, if you look at Michael Jordan, like if you haven't really heard stories about him, if you just kind of watch him play and everything, he may come across as humble. Like he doesn't really say anything. He doesn't really talk much unless you're actually playing against him. Then he talks all kinds of trash against you, but he doesn't really talk much. And so what happened was Reggie Miller, he sees Michael Jordan, greatest player of all time. And Reggie Miller, he's a rookie inside the NBA at the time, right? He's just starting the NBA. And he's playing against Michael Jordan. And this is it's like an exhibition type game where Michael Jordan, he wasn't really taking it seriously because it didn't really matter. And so in the first half, Michael Jordan had, I think it was he had 4 points. Michael Jordan had 4 points. Reggie Miller had 10 points in the first half. And so Reggie Miller was like, oh, Jordan, you think you're great? I mean, shoot, I score way more than you. You're not even close to me. I whoop your ass, right? So Reggie Miller started talking trash to Jordan because he's like, I got more points than you. First half, you only got 4 points, you scrub. So Reggie Miller's talking to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, he just looks at him. He's like, okay. And then all of a sudden in the second half, Michael Jordan scores 40 points and Reggie Miller only gets to score 2 more points because Jordan just shut his ass down. And then at the very end, Michael Jordan went up to Reggie Miller and said, don't ever talk to Black Jesus like that again. And so if you look at super successful people, you will see little moments like that, little moments where Jordan said, don't ever talk to Black Jesus like that again. You'll see little moments like that demonstrate how much self-belief they have in themselves, but they hold back because they don't want people to think of them as arrogant and all that. And it really does, sometimes it really will get in the way of your success if people think you're insanely arrogant, things like that. And so when I think in terms of arrogance, I notice that super successful people have never called another super successful person arrogant. I've noticed that it just doesn't happen because someone like Michael Jordan understands why someone like Floyd Mayweather is great. He understands Floyd Mayweather worked his ass off to get there. And so Jordan doesn't call Mayweather arrogant. He calls him confident. He's like, the dude's confident. The dude's great at what he does. And so people who call someone arrogant, you'll notice normal people call great people arrogant. Normal people will call Tom Brady arrogant. Tom Brady, like the greatest football player, greatest quarterback of all time, right? They'll call him arrogant. And so with arrogance Arrogance is when you haven't accomplished anything, but you think you have. That's what arrogance truly is. Someone like Floyd Mayweather, Michael Jordan, Jeff Bezos, anyone who's like accomplished great things, they're not arrogant because they've accomplished great things. They can back it up. If you can't back up what you say, that's when you're borderline on arrogance. That's when your self-belief literally is getting in the way. But if you can back it up, it's just true. It's like what Bobby Fischer said when he was getting interviewed, and the guy said, the interviewer said to Bobby Fischer, like, hey, don't you think it's a little arrogant that you call yourself the greatest chess player of all time or the number one chess player of all time? And Bobby Fischer, he was like, it's not arrogant if it's true. And so that's hands down. That's really how it actually is. To the status quo, your confidence will always come across as arrogance. That's what it's always going to be to the status quo. No matter how confident you are, it will always come across as arrogant. This is where when people say be confident, everyone says be confident, be confident, be confident. Then when you are, people tend to call you arrogant. This is why you need to ignore other people's opinions of you. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. You ignore other people's opinions of you because people will say be confident, but when they notice you're getting too confident, now they call you arrogant. And this is that whole thing of the crabs in a bucket. I don't know if you heard about this thing where if you take a crab and you have a bucket, you put a crab in a bucket, the crab is just going to climb back out. Like, bam, he'll easily just climb out of the bucket. But if you take two crabs and you put two crabs in a bucket, what's going to happen is one crab is going to try to climb up. The other one's going to pull him down, right? The other one's, where are you going, man? He's going to pull him down. It happens every single time. And that's how you keep crabs in a bucket. The same goes with people. People will tell you, be confident, be confident. Then when you're reaching up, they'll try to pull you back down. No, you're being too confident. Now you're arrogant, man. Come on, don't be arrogant, right? And so that's what people always do. And this is where I want to bring you to the song of the Greatest Showman song. It's called This Is Me. And so I want to read the lyrics, or actually here, instead of just reading the lyrics, I'll actually play the song and I'll sing along with it as well. So this is where, listen really close to the lyrics, okay? So let's see. Here, let's do this. Alexa, play This Is Me. So listen to this.
This Is Me by K. Alice Edel and the Greatest Showman Ensemble on Amazon Music.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, knowing I love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. We are glorious. With the sharpest words wanna cut me down. I'm gonna send a flood, I'm gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Alexa, stop. See, the beginning parts of those lyrics, if you actually read the lyrics and pay attention to them, I mean, it's really great in terms of most people will say you're crazy and all this sort of stuff. Most people will naturally try to bring you down, and they will bring you down without deliberately doing it, right? So most people do it without deliberately doing it. Maybe gossip behind your back or whatever it is. And so it's like the lyrics where it says, I'm not a stranger to the dark, hide away, they say, because we don't want your broken parts. And so it's almost like, and then it said, I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. So as you're talking with most people, what happens is you learn to be ashamed of who you are. And when you have a self-belief, it flips. So it flips. So at the bottom, it says, I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. That's how you need to truly think. That's how self-belief truly happens, where in the beginning you're around normal people, and then bam, you've learned to be ashamed of all your scars. Then at the end, you have this insane level of self-belief, and it's like, I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. What happens is the end part, I make no apologies. This is me. It's basically, this is me. If you don't like it, fuck you. That's literally how you operate. And you just have to think like that 24/7. This is me. If you don't like it, fuck you. And so either people accept you or they don't. And so your self-belief, it allows you to say, forget you, right? That's what self-belief allows you to do. And so if you don't have self-belief, you put other people's opinions over your own, and you start to think lower of yourself, and it naturally, it destroys you over time. Successful people tend to have deserved confidence. This is like the difference between the confidence and the arrogance thing. The arrogance is like just full of air. There's just fluff there. There's no reason to be confident that's why people call this person arrogant. Whereas when you have a lot of self-belief and when you have real confidence, it's deserved confidence. You're good for a reason. Like, you have confidence for a reason. Floyd Mayweather, he considers himself to be the greatest of all time for a reason. I mean, he worked harder than everybody else. He made more money than everybody else in the industry. He never lost a single fight. How could you not consider yourself to be the greatest of all time, right? It's deserved confidence. On the other hand, imagine in 50 fights, imagine he lost 14 fights, right? So he lost 14 and he still calls himself the greatest of all time. It wouldn't make sense. It's not deserved confidence. And so confidence, essentially, it always comes from competence. This is why no amount of self-belief will make up for competence. No amount of self-belief will make up for a lack of skill. And so what you do is you build your skills to a point where your confidence comes from competence, and then no matter what anyone says, you don't believe it. So think about, once again, Magnus Carlsen, greatest chess player, some consider of all time, to be honest. But right now, he's the best chess player right now. Imagine someone says to Magnus Carlsen, you suck at chess. He's going to be like, okay. Does it make sense? I'm the #1 chess player in the world. All right. It wouldn't make sense to him because he knows he doesn't suck at chess. It's 100% true. He does not suck at chess. And someone like Michael Jordan, if someone says to Michael Jordan, dude, you're not that great. Come on, man. You're not that great. Okay. Like, it wouldn't make sense to him. The same goes with anything that anyone ever says to you. It's all built through competence, which is why when someone has an opinion about you, it doesn't bother you. It's like, I don't care what you say. I know I'm great at this thing. And so you just need to come from the standpoint of, you can alter the course of somebody's life. Like, in terms of, let's say you have a message that you want to get out there. No matter what it is, you're a scientist, no matter what it is, you have the ability to alter the course of somebody's life. This is one of the reasons why I stopped performing. Because when I would perform, what would happen is people would say, wow, Benji, you're great. That's amazing. Man, that's so cool, right? And that's what would happen when I would perform. It's like, I'd perform, great show. Everyone's like, Benji, you're great. Then I started producing content. I started creating stuff just online, speaking and everything. And instead of people saying, Benji, you're great, people would write me emails and they would say, Benji, you changed my life. Like, man, you helped me like actually make money in my business. You changed my life. And so it's kind of like, wow, which one's better? Benji, you're great, or you changed my life. And so I thought, I got to do more of this, and like more of this stuff where it's going to literally alter the course of someone's life. And when you see that, when you get your first email where someone says, you altered the course of my life, or you changed my life, when you see that, you know it to be true. You know that, hey, I can do this thing in a way that's going to change the course of somebody's life. And it's an insane level of self-belief that you're going to have in yourself that will allow you to keep doing what you do. So it's not a matter of can you change someone's life. It's just a matter of how you're going to change someone's life. That's what it really comes down to. Self-belief, it carries you through tough times. So I want to read this quote from Felix Dennis. I've mentioned Felix Dennis several times before. He's the guy who created Maxim magazine, among other magazines. And by the time he died, he was like almost a billionaire. And he wrote this in one of his books. He said, when the going gets tough, when all seems lost, when partners and luck desert you, when bankruptcy and failure are staring you in the face, all that can sustain you is a fierce compulsion to succeed at any price. I'll say that again. When the going gets tough, when all seems lost, when partners and luck desert you, when bankruptcy and failure are staring you in the face, all that can sustain you is a fierce compulsion to succeed at any price. When you have an insane level of self-belief, no matter what happens around you, everything's crumbling around you, your self-belief pushes that. It's like, get out of my way. Everything's happening, bankruptcy, all this stuff's happening. It's like, get out of my way. I do not care that I ran my business into the ground. I don't care what you think. I don't care all the stuff's happening. Get out of my way because I got to create something great. And so that's why you need to have such an insane level of self-belief. It's like the time when I got let go by all the restaurants all at once. Man, I was crushed, man. Even though it was something small, just getting let go by all the restaurants all at once, it was almost like my dreams got crushed in that moment, to where I go to every single restaurant that I was performing at the time. Every single one of them in that week just let me go. Like, hey, man, we can't afford to pay you anymore. I mean, if you want to come in, do this thing for free, you can, but we can't afford to pay you anymore. I'm like, oh, damn, okay. Go to another restaurant. Hey, man, we can't afford to pay you anymore. I'm like, damn. And so I just got let go by all the restaurants. I'm like, what the hell? But there was this self-belief like, look, man, I'm going to be one of the greatest, I'm going to be one of the greatest of all time, right? That was a self-belief inside of my head. So that self-belief allowed me to go through, just to go past everything that was happening around me. It's like when the going gets tough, the tough gets going type thing. So it's one of those things when everything is just crumbling all around you, your self-belief just pushes you through. And so people kept saying to me, like, what's your backup plan? What's your backup plan? What's your backup plan? All throughout high school, college, everything. What's your backup plan? It's like, well, I'm just going to do business. I'm just going to do business. Yeah, but if the business doesn't work out, what's your backup plan? There is no backup plan, right? Stop saying that to me. You're getting on my nerves. And so when you have self-belief, that's what happens, that you don't need a backup plan, because you know that whatever you do, it's always going to come down to the end goal. Even if, let's say, you're building a business, it comes crushing down, bankruptcy, all that sort of stuff, and you do have to get a job, right? That job is not a backup plan. You get a job because you're going to save money to once again start the business all over again. It's not that you're stopping. It's not that, hey, I just got to stop doing this thing altogether because it failed. It's more of, okay, it failed. Now I got to go get a job, but the only reason I'm getting this job is to actually save money to start over again. When you have self-belief to that point, no matter what happens around you, the world is just trying to crush you. You push it out of the way. That's why you need to have so much self-belief. And if you don't have self-belief, you're going to have a lot of uncertainty. And this is the difference between someone with self-belief who operates with uncertainty and someone without self-belief who operates with uncertainty. Someone who doesn't have self-belief, they will have uncertainty. Like I said, someone who has self-belief and someone who doesn't have self-belief, they both have uncertainty. Like, uncertainty will always be there. There's no doubt about that. There will always be uncertainty. But if you don't have self-belief and you have uncertainty, you're going to end up stopping. You're just going to be like, oh, dang it, like nothing's going to work out. When you have self-belief and there's an uncertainty in your mind, once again, it will not make sense to other people. You're going to say, I'm going to become a multimillionaire. And people say, well, how? Like, I don't know. I'm just going to do it. Don't know. No idea. It's just going to happen, right? People are like, that doesn't make sense though. It doesn't need to make sense to you, son. It doesn't need to make sense. And so it's like the self-belief, it's going to carry you through everything. You need to feel destined, like literally feel destined. And the way you feel destined, I thought about that, like, how do you just feel destined to do something? Is you look to your past in terms of all the things that have happened to you, and you connect the dots from your past to where you are now and to where you want to go. So, for example, let's say with me, right? So I'm thinking in terms of, okay, I did the entertainment in the past. I'm like, all right, the mind reading. So I really studied the mind and everything. I've studied a lot of science, like physics, all that sort of stuff. And so I'm studying all this, the motivation, all that sort of stuff. I study all of it. And I feel like I'm destined to really just build a personal development business in general. I'm just destined for it because I have everything. The entertainment helped me in terms of here's how you actually capture and keep people's attention. The mind, studying the mind and science, it helped me to make sure that I'm not talking about stupid pseudoscience stuff like all these other guys are doing. It helps me to talk about real science. And so I'm like really, really studying, really trying to make sure that I'm right all the time. And then, so like all these things, I feel destined, like it was just destined for this stuff to happen. And you need to feel destined. And that's how you make it your destiny. That's how you feel destined, right? And so, like I said earlier, your ambitions should be so big that you almost feel embarrassed to tell people what they are. If you don't feel embarrassed about telling people what your ambitions are, they're not big enough. And this is only if you want to build something big, by the way. Everything I'm talking about is if you want to build something big. If all you want to do is make 6 figures, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But if you want to build something big, then your visions, your ambition should be so big that if you tell people what they are, they're going to think you're crazy. You're going to feel embarrassed about telling people what it is and what you're trying to do and everything. And so you'll naturally just keep it to yourself. You just got to believe that you're born to win. Your thoughts aren't there to be true or not, because like I said, everything that we know in the universe is only 4%. So your thoughts aren't meant to be true or not, because whatever you think is true probably isn't. Because like I said, 96% of the universe, we don't know. Like, we just don't know stuff, right? And so your thoughts aren't meant there to be true or not. Your thoughts are meant to create a certain self-belief that produces a certain action, which produces a certain end game, an end result in your life. Your self-belief should be so strong, so powerful, it does not make sense to you or to anybody else. That is what you need to have in terms of your self-belief. Now, let's see if there were any questions about this. All right, let's see. Let's see, you said just finished yesterday. Here you go again. All right. See, Kathy said healthy self-confidence, check. Cool. Belief in myself, check. System work on it. Got CRM, nice. All right, I'm catching Magnus. All right, Paul. All right, yeah, Paul. If you beat Magnus Carlsen, let me know. That'd be interesting. Well, you'd probably be in the news if you beat Magnus Carlsen, actually. All right, see. Let's see. Michael said, I'm a bad mother. All right. Who don't take nothing from no one. Oh, yes, that's what the dude from Cool Runnings said. I'm a bad mother who don't take nothing from no one. Yeah, cool. All right, so let's see. Wani said, I can't stand the word humble. I never have, never will. Yep. Yeah, the humble thing, the being humble. So if you look at, let's say, someone like Will Smith, right? Will Smith, if you look at him, you see his presence online. The guy comes across as humble. But there are moments in interviews where you notice that he knows he's great. Like, he knows it. He's accomplished so much in his life. He knows he's great, which is why he's accomplished so much in his life. The only reason Will Smith comes across as humble is because he doesn't brag about it. He doesn't really demonstrate it. Same like Tiger Woods, right? Tiger Woods is actually the perfect example. Tiger Woods, his self-belief is so freaking high, it's ridiculous. And it's hard to see those glimpses inside of Tiger Woods because he's so closed off, right? But his self-belief is insanely high, like insane. And so, but when you see interviews and everything, he's just like, oh yeah, I mean, we'll just do my best this time, and we'll just see. In his mind though, he's like, I'm gonna crush this motherfucker. That's what he's thinking, right? That's what it was actually a recent interview where it was him and Phil Mickelson. And so the interviewer says something oh, so how do you get inside of Phil Mickelson's head? And Tiger Woods was like, I'm already in his head. I've been in his head all these years, for years, for decades, I've been in his head. And so little glimpses like that you'll see with humble people. Great people are only humble. Humble is just a matter of whether or not you show it or not. That's all humble is. All right, so let's see. All right, we got that. See, I'm so there these days. Too old to worry about other people's opinions. Yeah, the other people's opinions, it's one of those things in terms of other people's opinions. It's easier said than done to ignore other people's opinions because you're aware of other people's opinions. You just don't care about their opinions. And what I mean by don't care is you decide when to care. That's more of how you do it. It's okay, they say this thing about you or about whatever. You're arrogant, you're dumb, you're crazy, whatever it is. It's more a matter of, do you care? It's one of the reasons why it never made sense to me when I saw on Twitter how these celebrities, they would get off of Twitter because they felt bullied, right? So all these people would bully them and say all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, why do you care? You're so much more successful than every single person talking trash about you on Twitter. Why do you care what they think? It makes zero sense. And I mean, I can understand how a normal person would feel cyberbullied. But when you're a celebrity and you have people talking trash about you on Twitter, I'd be like, dude, my life is a million times better than yours. Hands down. Like that's why it never made sense to me in terms of celebrities. But your self-belief, you have to truly have your opinions up here, and other people's opinions are just right below yours, and you decide which opinions you want to pay attention to. So once again, it's not that you're ignoring everybody. It's not that it's not that you literally just ignore everybody's opinions. It's a matter of, I know here's what I'm good at, and I know I suck at this thing, so I'm going to listen to this person on this thing. So if I want to be the greatest poker player of all time, who am I going to go to? Phil Ivey. I'm like, all right, I know Phil Ivey's better than me in poker. The dude's like the Michael Jordan of poker. So I'm going to say, all right, my opinion is Phil Ivey is the best at poker, so I'm going to listen to him in poker. And so that's what you're really doing. It's not that you're delusional to a point where it's just stupid. It's like, all right, I'm going to play poker. You know, Phil Ivey, they consider him the best. He's not really the best, whatever. I'm way better than Phil Ivey. See, that wouldn't make sense, because that belief isn't going to get you what you want. And so you got to believe to a point where your beliefs help you in terms of the actions that you're taking. All right, so let's see. So you said the humble thing comes from a Christian mindset. People don't want to lose favor with God. Oh, okay. I wonder where the humble thing came from. Never knew that. All right. So you said, I need this today. All right. Perfect. Exactly. All right. And then Felicia said, I've been told I'm very intimidating. I've decided to just roll with it. Yeah. You're intimidating. So what? It's one of the, like, once again, it comes back to that quote from Marianne Williamson. Where is it? He said, there's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. And so when you have a lot of self-belief and it's like you come across as intimidating to other people, it's one of those things where other people say that to you, like, dude, you know, you're like being too arrogant, or you got like too much self-belief, or, you come across as intimidating or whatever. It's one of those things where should you listen to that or not? Because if you listen to it, a lot of times you'll shrink. So once again, remember the crabs in the bucket, they're pulling you down. And so you got to think, like, are they pulling you down? Is it pulling you down, or is it going to help you? So this is where you have to decide. And that's the hardest part in terms of deciding. Is it pulling you down, or is it helping you? All right, so we got that. All right, it's called executive presence. Ooh, I like that. Executive presence. I like that word. All right, intimidating executive presence. Man, I really like that word. Self-belief, you have to develop self-belief to a point where it literally doesn't make sense to you or to other people. I was telling a friend this. I was like, look, man, I look at other people's businesses, like people who are way more successful than me. And I'm like, this dude's doing it all wrong. And that doesn't make any sense, right? I look at someone's business who's way more successful than me, and I say, dude's doing it all wrong. Oh, he needs to do this instead, right? That doesn't make any sense. But still, that's the level of self-belief that you need to have to accomplish your end game, to accomplish your goals. Because the self-belief is all about what does that belief do to you, not about whether or not it's 100% true. Because when you think it's 100% true, eventually in 50 years, 100 years from now, someone's going to prove it false. Just like the earth was flat, now it's not. Now we think the earth is round. Eventually, someone's going to prove the earth's not even round. And so it's one of those things where everything we know in the universe adds up to 4%. Everything we know. So there's 96% of the information, 96% that we don't know. So every thought that you have probably is wrong. And because of that, you just need to say, I'm not going to think in terms of whether this thought is right or wrong. I'm just going to think, what does this thought do to me? That's the self-belief that you need to have. Like, I have a self-belief. What does this do? So just like how I said in terms of you hold your opinions over other people, if I were to say to myself, I'm better than Magnus Carlsen, like I'm better than Magnus Carlsen in chess, even though he's the number one chess player in the world, I'm like, you know what? I'm better than Magnus Carlsen. Psh, shoot, whatever. What does that belief do to me? What that belief does to me, it means I will not learn how to actually be better than him. It means I'll keep losing that chess to him, and I'll keep wondering why. Like, what the hell? Is this dude cheating? What the heck? And so that belief is going to destroy my success. On the other hand, if I believe that, hey, he is better than me, let me learn from this guy, then that belief is going to help me learn from him, and I'll get better. And then eventually, well, I mean, who knows if you'll ever be able to beat Magnus Carlsen, but That's the level of belief you need to have. All right. So we are good to go for today. Once again, self-belief, it's so important. Your self-belief should borderline on arrogance. Arrogance, to me, arrogance is just a matter of, to me, arrogance and confidence, it's an opinion. Like when people say arrogant, one person say arrogant and other people say confident. Arrogance is just a matter of opinion. And so you just got to understand that the status quo will always call you arrogant when you're actually confident. That's what will always happen. If you see a lot of super successful people calling you arrogant, then you probably are arrogant at that point. You probably do need to say, well, all right, so if Magnus Carlsen is calling me arrogant, then what am I doing wrong here, right? And so that's when you really probably want to pay attention. But very rarely will a super successful person ever call you arrogant when it makes sense, because you've accomplished things for a reason. Like it's competence. All right. So thanks everybody for showing up. We will not be doing a Facebook Live on Monday and Tuesday because of the Christmas and all that sort of stuff. But we will start again on Wednesday. Remember, 9 a.m. Pacific time. We're always doing these Facebook Lives Monday through Friday with the exception of Christmas Eve and Christmas. So thanks everybody for showing up. Remember, always have the self-belief to a point where it doesn't even make sense. Self-belief to a point where it doesn't make sense to you or to anybody else. It's like what Neil deGrasse Tyson said with the universe. He's when people say like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense. Quantum physics, it doesn't make sense to me," and all this stuff, it doesn't make sense to me. And Neil deGrasse Tyson was like, "The universe is under no obligation to make sense to you." And the same goes with self-belief. Your self-belief, it's under no obligation to make sense to you or to other people. The self-belief is all about what it does to you. So thanks everybody for showing up. I will see you guys next time, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Take care, everybody.